Hello and welcome to this webinar that's all about how to get as many sales meetings as your MSP can handle. Now, I've got so much to share with you in the next 10, 15, 20 minutes or so, including why some marketing no longer works. And it may explain why, if you've done some marketing, it just hasn't given you the return on investment you were hoping for. We're going to talk about having a different marketing mindset. Now, this is aimed at you, the owner of the MSP or the manager of the MSP, because when you get this marketing mindset right, it kind of filters down to your marketing people, if you've got some, or your outsourced suppliers if you're using them. We're going to talk about how to reach the right person at exactly the right moment. And it's not quite just before they're ready to select a new MSP, but it's also not too far back from when they're ready to select. We've got to hit them at exactly the right moment. So I'll talk you through how to do that. We'll also talk about audiences and why you've got to build audiences. You've got to have bunches of people who have chosen to listen to your marketing in some way and chosen to be educated and entertained by you about tech matters, particularly when they don't have a clue about technology, which is most of the decision makers you want to speak to. I'm also going to give you at least 10 sources of traffic today, because I know that's always of interest. And then just a little bit at the end of the webinar, I'm going to talk about my service. It's called the MSP Marketing Edge. It's a low-cost, high-value content service where you get a whole series of content tools exclusively in your area. You get them every single month, and you can use them in any way you wish. So in this webinar, I'm going to explain a marketing strategy that I've designed the content for, but you can use them for absolutely everything. But that will come towards the end of the webinar. So my name's Paul Green. I'm an MSP marketing expert. I'm based in the UK, and I was a journalist and a radio presenter for 13 years. I did that. I was on the radio for a number of years. It was awesome. And then in 2005, I had the entrepreneurial seizure. And if you've ever read The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, you'll know what the entrepreneurial seizure is. It's where suddenly you've got to work for yourself. You've got to run your own business. So I started a general marketing company. And over a period of time, that evolved into a specialist healthcare marketing company. And we were working with dentists, opticians, and veterinarians. And that was a great business. And we had 15 staff. It was an awesome business. And I sold that in March 2016 and had a long no-compete on those sectors. And that's why I got into working with MSPs. Because I look back to some of the general clients that I had before, and I quite like working with IT support companies. Now, I'm not a tech. Never will be a tech. I can kind of speak your language now because of the number of years I've been working with MSPs. But I believe that not being a tech actually gives me an advantage. I can stand back a little bit from your world and not get caught up in discussions about vendors or which PSA should we have or which is the best RMM software, all of that kind of stuff. I'm a member of the in the UK of the Chartered Institute of Public Relations, which makes my mother proud. I was a columnist for CRN in the UK and an awards judge for them in 2017, and I've written 6 books as well. And if I'm right, when you're seeing this webinar, you've just requested a copy of my book, which is called Updating Servers Doesn't Grow Your Business. And we'll be sending you an electronic copy and the MP3s on email. And if you're within the UK, we'll send you a postal copy as well. Unfortunately, we don't send those outside of the UK just because of costs. I also have a Facebook group, which has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of MSPs in there. And it's the MSP Marketing Facebook group. And if you're on Facebook, I highly recommend that you come and join me in that Facebook group, because I send out an email around about once a week with quality premium content, but I'm in that Facebook group pretty much 6-7 days a week, and I'm always happy to answer any questions in that Facebook group. Now, here's a question for you. If you've ever tried some of the, what I would call the old-fashioned marketing, so things like, for example, sponsoring roundabouts or sponsoring events or putting up billboards or advertising in magazines or advertising on radio, you'll notice the ROI, the return on investment, is lower today than it has ever been. In fact, it's been getting lower and lower and lower for 20 years. And that's because all of those things I was just talking about are actually something called interruption marketing. So if you think about it, very few people listen to the radio to hear the adverts, apart from the people who've sold the adverts and the people who have bought the adverts. The DJs certainly don't listen, and the listeners don't listen. And that's because you're interrupting someone who's listening for music or information or whatever the case is. Same with the sponsorship board, the same with the newspaper advert. It just doesn't work. And before Google Ads came along in the late 1990s, I think it was 99 it came out, that was all right, because interruption marketing was all we had. You know, entire fortunes were built on interruption marketing. But nowadays we have Google, we have Facebook and all of its platforms, we have LinkedIn, and we don't need interruption marketing anymore. And the main reason this doesn't work is because most of us have one of these. And inside one of these, there's a part of the brain called the reticular activating system. Now, the reticular activating system is an amazing part of our brain that acts as a sensory filter. Because if we had to consciously deal with all the information that was coming in to our brain, it would just drive us insane. So instead what happens is all information from all 5 senses comes first into the reticular activating system. And it decides whether or not it is relevant to you. This is why I use the term MSP a lot. It's why sometimes I'll throw out break fix or IT support, because I want my marketing to appear to be relevant. This is the reason why if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to buy a new car, and you go out for a drive, you start to see loads of the new car that you're thinking of buying. And yesterday you didn't see them, but today you do. Because what you've done is you've told your reticular activating system that this is now relevant to me, please tell me about it. So if it's relevant, then you perceive it. The brain tells you about it. If it's not relevant, you don't see it. So most people, most of the time, are not looking for a new MSP. They're not looking for a new IT support company. So any marketing you do, it just goes out there. And this is why if you want to make by goes out there, I mean, it just leaves their head. So if you want to make your life hard, just blast a message out to everyone at all times and just hope that you'll catch them at the right moment, which is pretty much the marketing strategy of 1997. Well, we've moved on a little bit from there. And now what I recommend that you do is that you think 10. What do I mean by think 10? Well, I mean that there are 10 people in your area today who are looking for a new MSP. Tomorrow, it's a different 10 people. The day after, it's a different 10 people. The day after that, it's a different 10 people. Every day, 10 brand new people who are looking for an MSP for the first time. Maybe we don't want to be someone's first supplier, or better still, they're so annoyed with their incumbent MSP that they're ready to make the shift. They're ready to move from where they are now, their incumbent, over to you. So if you want to make your life easy, all you've got to do is you've got to put your business in front of the 10 people who are ready to talk. But there's a problem. The problem is you don't know who these people are. You don't know what stage they're at, because MSPs are very, very, very long sales cycle, and you don't know them and they don't know you. That means there's no existing relationship. And it's when someone doesn't know a new replacement MSP, that's when we tend to get into beauty parades and 3, 4, 5 companies coming and pitching. And the risk is then it becomes a commodity thing. And we don't want prospects picking your MSP or not picking it based on the price. We want price to be a factor, but we don't want it to be the factor. So therefore, what we need to do in an ideal world is we build a relationship with people sometime before we ever come and sit down in front of them and talk to them about the stuff we want to sell. And there's a 3-step process to do this. So I'm going to introduce you to the 3-step process, then I'm going to go back over the 3 steps in more details. The first of the steps is that you need quality traffic, and I'm going to give you 10 or 11 sources of quality traffic in a second. Now, that quality traffic shouldn't just be sent to your website. Your website's a part of it, but instead we should be sending it to a range of different platforms. Because our goal with all of that traffic, oh, by the way, when I say quality traffic, I don't mean lots of traffic. I mean a small amount of people that you would like to talk to. There's no point having 100 visitors a day to your website or to your platforms if they're not the right people. So you have your own criteria of what is a good business for you, how many minimum users, minimum turnover, or location, all of that kind of stuff. So that's what I mean by quality traffic. We want to direct that traffic then to multiple different platforms so we can build multiple audiences. And I define an audience as a bunch of people who, in a very low-level way, have chosen to have a conversation with you. So they have opted into your marketing in some way. And if you don't believe that people do opt into marketing, you've just done this when you've opted into my marketing, if that makes sense. So it's quality traffic, then build multiple audiences, and I'll come back in a second to what those audiences should be, and then you go on to build a relationship with people. And the relationship is actually done on a one-to-many scale. Certainly at the start, where you're putting something out and it's going out to many people. It only becomes a one-to-one conversation when you get them down to the point at which they're actually quite a hot prospect. And you keep doing this. You just keep throwing traffic in at the top, you keep building your multiple audiences, and you keep building a relationship with all of these people, hundreds and hundreds of people, until the magic happens. And the magic is where, in some way, you get them on the phone. And you're having a conversation with them, and they're at a point where they are a little bit demotivated. They're not quite as happy with their incumbent MSP as they have been in the past. And by the way, all MSPs have unhappy clients. Right now, unless you've got 2 clients, you have unhappy clients. They're not so unhappy they're going to leave now, but they're not as happy as they could be. And your goal is to find out who your competitors' unhappy clients are, and take those clients away from them at the point the client is ready to leave. Understand this: the MSP that builds the biggest audiences, builds the best relationship with those audiences, and markets them the most, typically wins. So you've got to build the biggest audiences, you've got to build a great relationship with them, which is a non-stop, never-ending job. You have to do it daily and weekly, and we'll come on to some detail about that. And then markets them the most. Market them is shaking a tree. They typically win. And I know this because I've done this again and again and again across multiple business ventures. That healthcare marketing company that I sold in 2016, we had 12,000 prospects across our 3 verticals, our 3 sectors. And they were all built using exactly the methods that I'm going to show you in this webinar. And all we did was we mined that database. We spent It's around about £150,000 over a 2 or 3 year period building that database of 12,000 prospects. Because these days traffic is rarely free. You have to pay for traffic in some way. But £150,000, and that put 12,000 prospects. Then I had 3 telephone people just spending all day ringing those people. So we were sending out, I think it was there were 12,000 people, we were sending 2 emails a week. So we were sending out 24,000 emails a week, which was feeding 3 telesales people, ringing the people who've clicked on the links or engaged with it on social media, and then they were booking appointments for 2 field salespeople. Now this was selling marketing, but you can see how that's an MSP sales model as well. And it's a great, do you know, if I bought an MSP tomorrow, that's the model I would put in place. I would build multiple audiences, I would be building a relationship with them through content marketing, and I would be getting some telephone people. And notice I didn't say telesales, this is telephone. Warm relationship building people on the phone, moving them forward until the point I can get someone, a salesperson in front of them. And I would do that in an MSP. I would do that in virtually any B2B business that I worked in. So let's go back over those 3 steps. We're going to start with quality traffic, we'll go down to building multiple audiences, and then building the relationship. Now, traffic is easy these days because really you're just better off paying for it. You know, I'm not a massive fan of Google ads these days just because the cost per click is so high. If you're in a very small market and there's not a lot of competition, it can be worth doing. I realise that the ROI is absolutely there for MSPs. You know, you win a new client and they're paying you £1,000 or $1,000 a month, and they're going to stay with you for 5 to 7 years. So you know it's worth you spending $400 on a bit of Google advertising to generate that, whatever it is, 60,000 worth of lifetime revenue. It's so competitive, and Google obviously has made it. There's less adverts now. You know, there's only 3 adverts that appear. They're more interested in retail locations, I think, which is why they're more focused on Google Maps. But Google is still traffic for you. It's getting a lot harder to gain Google. I'm not an SEO expert, a search engine optimization expert. Don't ask me for SEO advice. I don't have any, and it changes every day anyway. If you're going to hire someone to do SEO, you need to hire someone who lives this stuff. It's quite boring, to be honest. But Google is still a good source of traffic. LinkedIn is the #1 traffic source for MSPs today. In fact, it's the #1 marketing opportunity for MSPs these days. Microsoft bought LinkedIn a number of years ago, and they've made it better. They made it a lot better. And that's because, and what I'm about to say is only my opinion, I don't know this, but I watch what Microsoft what does, and if I look at the Office 365 wheel, it looks like every single product on there is either the market leader that they've bought or a copy of the market leader. Slack, for example, is the market leader in Teams software, and Microsoft Teams is a copy of Slack. So I think what they've done with LinkedIn is they bought LinkedIn, And LinkedIn was a little bit stagnant when they bought it, and they've just copied Facebook. They have done their own version of the algorithm, their own version of the ad platform, which is not easy to use. But the point is they've revamped LinkedIn, and I think it's lovely. It's a lovely content marketing tool. I'm working with so many MSPs now that are focusing a huge amount of attention on LinkedIn. So if you're not, you really need to be all over LinkedIn. Facebook is a great platform because it's a way of reaching people in their downtime. So yes, even business owners and managers use Facebook. Facebook groups is a particularly good way. LinkedIn has groups, by the way. LinkedIn has loads of groups. It's just no one uses them. But it's a great place to go to see, if you go to a business group on LinkedIn or on Facebook, and that's for business owners in your town or your area or your vertical, those are all going to be good prospects for you. So that's the beauty of the groups on Facebook and on LinkedIn. Twitter is still alive just about. It's very hard to target Twitter to a geographical area or a vertical. Instagram you might use if you're trying to reach consumer businesses. So some of my MSP clients that want to reach restaurants, hotels, retail shops, they use Instagram because the clients they want to reach use Instagram. Messenger is a great way of reaching people because, of course, Facebook and Messenger are integrated like that, and WhatsApp will be coming that way at some point down the line. Your own emails is a good source of traffic. Most of the traffic that comes to my platforms comes from my emails. I send out, I think it's about 1,500 emails once or twice a week, and because we've just got a small list of MSPs comparatively right now, and we most of the traffic to my website and to my other audiences comes from those emails. Some other ones, just some offline ones really, some events. That 12,000 prospects I built in the last business, a lot of that came from events. We were in verticals. So we went to the vertical trade shows, and that can work incredibly well when you're focused on data capture and not focused on trying to sell at the event. Because the beauty of getting the data capture is you get multiple bites of the cherry. This isn't just about trying to sell them something today and then they're gone and you don't know who they are. This is about getting them into your audience so you can educate them and have multiple attempts to try and sell to them. Sponsored emails can work quite well. That's where you take someone who's got an audience. It could be some of your local media. It could be, again, a specialist trade magazine in a specific vertical you're in, and you pay them to send an email out on your behalf. And the way you should do it is that email should be directing people to come and join your databases. We'll talk about what those databases should be in a second. Real hit and miss. I've done loads of sponsored emails over the years, and they either work really well or they're a complete waste of time. So do one as a test. They're quite expensive, but again, the ROI is there in the long term. And then you've got direct mail. If you could buy data, because you can buy data and do cold emails to people to get them to opt in, just make sure you don't use your core CRM if you're doing something like that. Use what we call a burner CRM, which is where you use a second CRM. Doesn't matter if you get a whole load of spam complaints. But direct mail, exactly the same. You can buy or just, dare I say, you could scrape off Google or other sources and get physical addresses of the people you want to reach, and then just send them something in the post, just a letter. You can use an online service that will do this for you, so that you don't have to. And it's just another way of reaching people. And of course, these days we don't have much post compared to 20 years ago. We used to have 20 years ago not much email, loads of posts. Now it's completely the other way around. So quality traffic is actually relatively easy. What's not so easy is building audiences. But I do know you want to build multiple audiences, and your most important one is going to be email. And the reason it's going to be email is because all the other platforms I'm going to talk about where you should build audiences belong to either Microsoft or Facebook. And the problem is, as much as they're great platforms, there's a certain level of distrust in Microsoft and Facebook. I don't trust that tomorrow I don't log into LinkedIn and it's gone. They've taken my account away for whatever reason. And, I've got, getting on for a time of doing this webinar, about 1,500 connections. So, the one piece of data that can't be taken away from me is my email list. So my CRM can shut me down, but that data is mine and I can get that data out of my CRM. So you want to build your email list and focus on your email list. It's the most cost-effective marketing you'll ever do, and it's the one you will have the most level of control over. But sign up for our newsletter doesn't cut it anymore, hasn't cut it for years and years. You need instead something called an ethical bribe. And an ethical bribe is something that you give to people in return for their contact details. So you give them the ethical bribe, and in return they give you their contact details. Now, what would be a good ethical bribe subject that your audience would be interested in? Depends on your audience. If it's just a general audience, it might be just a general technology-based subject, but something that's from their point of view and something that's at their level of understanding. If you operate in the vertical, then obviously something that's based around verticals will be good. Now, my service that I'm going to tell you about at the end, the MSP Marketing Edge, to every single new member, we give them a book. At time of doing this webinar, the book is about the 2020 problem, which is of course about Microsoft end of lifing Windows 7, Office 2010, and all the server software. We're about to replace that with a cybersecurity book. But the idea of this book is you put your name on the front, you perhaps get a new cover design if you want to, change the name if you want to, you can edit the text if you want to, but then you get it printed. And you've got a physical book. Well, you can either do it as a PDF or as a physical book. I like physical books. It's why within the UK we send out those physical books. The PDFs going out to the States and to other people around the world. But there's something about a book that it's not just a great ethical bribe. It's a business card. It's a 48-page business card. And as part of the MSP Marketing Edge, we give you one of those, and you can use that to do what you want with that. So you need an ethical bribe, something that people will get in return for their contact details. You need a data capture page, and the best data capture pages have nothing on them other than a focus on give me your details. And there's all sorts of software out there you can get. Leadpages.net I've used before. I've used data capture pages with a CRM called MailerLite. And also I use a CRM now called Infusionsoft that has built-in data capture pages as well. So you need data capture pages and a CRM. And when I talk about a CRM, I don't mean Autotask or ConnectWise. I mean a customer relationship management tool, a tool that you use for marketing. So I've just mentioned MailerLite, MailChimp, Infusionsoft. I mean, there's dozens out there. Zoho, lots of people use. You use the one that's right for you. So building multiple audiences, we've got your email list, we've then got your LinkedIn connections, and as I said earlier, LinkedIn is just enormous, absolutely enormous. And if you want to get really serious about LinkedIn, you make it a daily activity. And that means that every day, even if you can just find 20, 30 minutes every day, you do the 3 C's. You connect, you send content, and you call. So connect is where you attempt to connect connections with people. And I forget what the limit is off the top of my head, but you work your way up to, let's say the limit's 30, you do 28, 29 every day, so you don't max it out every day, but you'll get around about 1 in 10, 2 in 10, depending on how well your profile's been put together. You connect, you content, so you put content on every day, and you should put social media content, and LinkedIn is social media content 5 to 7 days a week, depending on your audience you're trying to reach. And then you call. I thoroughly believe that when you've been connected to someone on LinkedIn for some time, particularly if they've engaged with your stuff, by engaged I mean they've liked it, or they've shared it, or they've commented on it, but whether they've engaged with it or not, you should call them at some point. Because ultimately, and even though you get a lot of people just not taking your call or putting your phone down, it's a database. LinkedIn is a great database, and it's there. Lots of the MSPs I work with use LinkedIn quite extensively. Some of them have multiple profiles, which is up to you if you want to do that. Some of them use DuckSoup. I use DuckSoup myself. It's an automated tool that will do connections for you. So it goes into your Chrome as a plugin, and you tell it who you want to connect with, and it does the work for you. So you're just automating the connections, and you can automate sending messages and stuff like that. We don't use Sales Navigator, which is the premium LinkedIn, although I would if we needed it. DuckSoup, and there's another one called Leonard for LinkedIn, and there's a third one I can't quite remember the name of, but they all do come with a caveat, a health warning, which is they're technically against LinkedIn's terms and conditions. So even though it's very hard for LinkedIn to detect you're using one, because DuckSoup sits in your Chrome, your browser, and it is doing the work on your computer. It just sits there and does automated stuff in a tab. It's kind of cool. It does come with that health warning that LinkedIn doesn't like it. So email lists are good, LinkedIn connections are good, and then we've got maybe you'd start a Facebook group, maybe you'd use Instagram. And again, this depends on who you're trying to reach. If you're trying to reach local business owners, In theory, a Facebook group is a great idea. The MSPs I've tried that with, we found it to be quite difficult. And again, Instagram, you would build an Instagram audience if the people you want to reach use Instagram. That would depend more on your vertical more than anything else. So we've got our 3 stages. We've done quality traffic, we've done building multiple audiences, and the final one to talk about is building a relationship with people. Because if you remember, people buy when they're ready to buy. And what makes the MSP sales cycle so long is that there's a huge amount of inertia loyalty in your clients. So your clients who don't know much about tech, in fact, they don't know what they don't know. Your clients and your prospects, they don't know what they don't know. So the thing that gives you excellent retention and makes you keep all of your clients for so many years is also the thing that slows down your sales cycle, because even if they're unhappy today with their MSP and they've only got a few months left on their contract, there's a pretty good chance they're going to sign another year. They have to get down to the point of being really disengaged and unhappy with their incumbent MSP before they're likely to pick you or to move on to someone different. So what we're trying to do with the relationship is when we've got these audiences of people, we want to educate them and we want to entertain them. And we want to do this at their level of understanding. Because building a relationship is a slow thing. You'll have heard that you need to have 10, 20, 30, try 100 touches of a prospect before they start to listen to you, before they start to trust you, before they will buy from you. Well, that's what we can do these days with all these online methods. So once we've got someone, we've got their email address, or they're connected to us on LinkedIn or on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, then we can drip feed content in front of them. And we've got to do this at their level of understanding. If we come in too high talking about cyber this and hacker that, and it's all just a bit high end, they're going to be at loss. Think about your average client. They don't get a lot of the stuff you're talking about. They want the outcome. Of course they want the outcome, but they don't necessarily want to have the tech talk about it. So we've got to educate them, we've got to entertain them, and we've got to do it in a variety of different ways. So you might do some articles, you might do some videos, you do a mix, you could do some guides, a variety of stuff is the right approach to use. And you want to do it regularly as well. If you've got their email address, you want to email them once a week, which is not too much, because the most you're going to get is about a 25% open rate. So if you send out one email a week, the average person is only seeing one email a month. If you send out one email a month, they're only seeing one email every 4 months. You get the idea. So weekly is fine for an email. You could do twice weekly, probably a bit overkill. Social media is definitely daily, and your choice whether daily means 5 days or 7 days a week. And you want to do it across multiple channels as well. In fact, in an ideal world, you would put a piece of content on your blog, on your website. If you don't have a blog, you need a blog, because Google looks for that. And maybe then you'd send out that blog content to your email list. And you do a clever little thing where you send them a little tease in the email, and the email looks like plain text. It's not some kind of beautiful HTML template, because that will just reduce the amount of clicks. That's what e-commerce does, but for an MSP you don't do it. So you'd send out an email, there's a little bit of a tease, and to read the content they have to click through to go and read it on your website. And the reason you do that is because you want your telephone people to know who's active. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? If they've opened something, they might be active. They may have seen it in a preview pane, but if they've clicked it, that's definitely a human behavior, that someone has clicked to go through and see. So you'd send out the same content on email, you'd put the same content on LinkedIn. If you had the video, you would upload the video to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn prefers that you upload the video to there. If you've got the video, you put it on your YouTube channel, and you might only get 50 subscribers on your YouTube channel, but it's another audience. Some people, you may personally not like watching YouTube, although you're this far into a webinar video, but many people, YouTube is one of their primary sources of education and entertainment. So you would put it on your YouTube channel. Of course, you put everything on Facebook. And again, if you've got a video, you upload that to Facebook. Facebook and LinkedIn don't like connections to external websites, so you're better off putting the content on there. Maybe you'd even send this out in printed newsletters, And these are only just 5 ideas. There's 10 or 20 different things that you could do. Once you've got some good content, you can use it in so many different ways to build a relationship with people. Now, there are 3 secret weapons for this. Secret weapon number 1 is to do something every single weekday. In fact, if you could find 60 to 90 minutes every single weekday, you change everything within a year. You literally could change the whole business within a year. And I know this because my last business and this business and every business venture I've ever had has been built on daily. In fact, I do 90 minutes. I do 90 minutes every day working on my business rather than in my business. And that's my only real secret to success is I'm every day, whatever happens, wherever I am, I find 90 minutes, earlier the better, and I get things done. And in fact, 90 minutes gives you an improportionate extension on 60 minutes. If you do 60 minutes, you're only getting about 45 minutes of work. You do 90 minutes, you just achieve so much more, especially over a long period of time, thanks to something called the compound effect, where a small series of things add up over time to something very, very big. What would you do in your 60, 90 minutes every day? Christ, even if you just did the LinkedIn connections, do you remember what we said about connect, content, core? Even just LinkedIn connections, rattling your database, what's the low-hanging fruit, shake the tree, who can we call? Even just 10 calls a day, that's 50 calls a week. You might only speak to 2 people a day or 1 person a day, but that's amazing because that's probably more people than you're speaking to now. Secret weapon number 2 is that activity beats perfection. So many of us with our marketing, we just got to get it 100% perfect, and what happens is we spend weeks getting it perfect and we don't get it out there. I'm just a big fan of just get it done. Activity. Now, don't get me wrong, my services, when I supply content to MSPs, we get it as near damn perfect as we can. And we have a 3-step review process. And the odd errors creeps in now and again. We're human after all, but we try and make that perfect. But we also deliver it on time every single month. The first of every month at 10:30 a.m. UK time, we deliver brand new content to our 136, 140 members, and of course it could be more by the time you watch this across the world. So because it's all about activity, and it's better to just get that stuff out there. All these emails, all these social media stuff, it's disposable content, but we're trying to get an effect going. We're trying to build some momentum. We're trying to build a relationship with people who at some point will go on to work with you in some way. Secret weapon number 3 is that video engagement can't be beaten. I supply a video every month for you to use as an MSP, and I do that because it's such a very powerful thing to do. Again, you can't judge other people's inclination to watch and react to videos based on your own. There's a wonderful saying which is, what is it? To influence what John Smith buys, you must look through John Smith's eyes. Basically, just because you aren't a big fan of Facebook and videos, and which may be the case or may not be the case, you can't assume that other people are like that, because we're not all similar. We're very, very different. Secret weapon number 4 is that telephone interventions set up sales appointments. And I mentioned back in my last company, we had those 3 telephone people. You need someone, whether it's you, whether it's a colleague, whether you get someone to come in for 2 hours a day and to do it for you, but you have to phone people. What we've described and the service that I sell, which is content, is great for building audiences, great for warming people up, but you do not get sales appointments unless you work that database. It's just too difficult to get people to do that. You'll perhaps get 1 or 2 calls a year inbound, whereas if you are doing 10, 20, 30 outbound and more outbound calls a day, you will just simply have more conversations. You'll have more assessment phone calls, audit phone calls, and you'll have more sales meetings. It's as simple as that. So there has to be an element of outbound to it. And secret weapon number 5 is the most beautiful one, which is that most MSPs do nothing. So the MSP business model, lots of recurring revenue that just stays forever because the clients stay forever, it makes most MSPs lazy. And I don't mean that to be offensive, it's just a fact. Most MSPs are really lazy at marketing because, this stuff is out there. It's really easy to find this stuff. So your trick is to just do a little bit more than your competitors are. Now, I'm not talking about, maybe there's a big firm in town that's got a sales force on the ground and they've got a marketing agency. You're never going to beat those people. And you don't want to because you're not in the same game as them. But if you think about other MSPs the same size as you, doing this stuff day in, day out, and if you can't do it, then you find someone to do it for you. It gives you results in the long term because you're just doing activity. And most MSPs, they just kind of sit there and they hope that some prospects are going to come along, and hope is a terrible marketing strategy when actually you can be a lot more proactive. And that's what this is. and I have something that can help you. So I've mentioned this MSP Marketing Edge. It gives you high quality, fresh content every single month, so you don't need to muck about. And I've made it low cost, and I've made it easy, and I've made it exclusive. So only one MSP can have it per area. So what I'm going to do just in the last few minutes is just take you through everything that you get every month. I'm going to show you how to check whether or not your area is available or not. And of course, I'll tell you how much it costs. So the first thing that you do when you click on the link on this page is you pick your country. And as you can see, we're currently in the UK and we're currently in the USA as well. So they're slightly different sites because the service is tailored to each country. It's created in the UK and then we rewrite it and redevelop the content for the US using American spellings and having American voices on the video, for example. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that you get every single month. And on the website, you'll see all the different stuff that you get. So I'm just going to quickly run through it because we start with a guide, or if you prefer to call it a report or a white paper. And the idea of this is that it is a piece of knowledge that's talking at the level at which ordinary people talk. So the business owners and managers you want to reach. And it talks to them about things that really they should know about, things that are important. So they are typically technical subjects, and we try and make them timely wherever that's possible. And as I say, they're not written in geek or tech, they're written in human. And we give you the InDesign files for this, plus a low-res PDF, a high-res PDF, there's a PowerPoint version and a Word version. So the idea is some people just take it and they just use it as it is and put it on their website in a download section, or they use it as an ethical bribe. You can use it in any way you wish. Some people take the InDesign version and they edit it or change it, or just put their logo on or whatever. You can do anything you want with this content. You can even rip the content out and use it for something else if you want to. We also give you a done-for-you advertising pack. So if you're going to do some adverts on Google, LinkedIn and Facebook, then you've got some creative ready to get going. And again, some people use this, they change it. Some people just use it as it is. The idea is it's something to get you going. And the adverts are always, well, there's two sets of adverts. One is to promote the guide and the other is to promote the video. So you can drive traffic to your guide page and you can drive traffic to your video page. And then talking about the video, we know that video is the #1 engagement tool. So every single month you get a video, and it's not animated, it's live action, but with a voiceover. In the UK, it's my voice. In the US, we use an American professional voiceover. And the idea is that you just put this on your website. It becomes another blog post, or if it's a big subject, it's something you can put on your homepage or your About Us page. And you're the only MSP in your area to use this video, which is very, very powerful. And we also give you all the elements of it as well. So you get the MP4, you also get the Vimeo code. So we host these in Vimeo, so you can just embed that code straight into your website, literally a 20-second thing. Or if you prefer, download the MP4, put it in your YouTube channel or your own Vimeo. You can obviously edit it once you've downloaded the MP4. There's a gap at the end where you could put your logo and your contact details if you wanted. We also give you the script. We also give you a captions file, and you've got everything you need there, all the different elements. That's it. There's a promotional bit of promotional blurb as well. So all the elements you need to really make the most of a very powerful engagement tool. And then we give you a whole bunch of emails as well. So you get 8 emails for your prospects. So these are aimed at people who are not yet in a transactional relationship with you. They're not giving you money yet. And of course, as we've said on this webinar, you should be building up a huge bunch of people who are your prospects, because that's one of your key audiences. So we give you 8 emails so you can pick out the 4 or 5 that you like the most and send them an email a week. I wouldn't send 2 emails a week, I would just send 1 email a week. But you've got 8 to choose from. And then we take those emails, and we do client versions. So they're more or less the same emails. There are some subtle changes to them, but they're aimed at clients. So for example, where the call to action on the prospect emails is get in touch with us today, here's our website, or call me on this number. For the clients, it's more go to the ticketing, raise a ticket or call the help desk on this number. And the idea of the client emails is their retention emails. And again, you've got the 8 different subjects to pick out your 4 or 5 that you most prefer. And then we get onto the social media content. So we give you enough social media content to post 5 days a week throughout the month. And we have split the social media content into 3 types. You've got some that's optimized for Facebook, some that's optimized for LinkedIn, and some that's optimized for Twitter. Now, you can use it in any way that you wish. You can use your social media content on any platform. Pop it on Instagram if you want to. You can do anything you want with it. But it's a mixture of technology content, business content. We found that people content, HR stuff, tends to work quite well. So it's a whole bunch of content that you can just use on social media. And we give it to you as Word documents with hashtags and without hashtags, because some people prefer hashtags, some people don't. And we also give it to you as CSV files that can be uploaded to Hootsuite and also to Buffer as well. Now, the final element that we give you each week is a press release, or each month is a press release. So I used to be a journalist. I was a journalist and a radio presenter for 13 years in total. And then my first business was a public relations company. So I know a lot about press releases, and I write these myself. And the idea is, as you'll see from the image here, you get a press release and you've got some yellow fields, which is for your name, for the company name, for the town name. You just pop those in and you've got instant press release that's relevant to the local media in your area. And what we suggest you do is that just once you put together a distribution list. So you've got your local newspapers, your local radio stations. In the States, you would add your local TV stations. In all countries, you've got local news blogs. And every month, you just send them the press release. Now, the reality is you're not going to get coverage every month, but once, maybe twice a year, there'll be something in there that it just piques the interest of the journalists who are looking for easy content. Because don't forget, I've been that person. I was that person at the other end looking through press releases and thinking, what a load of rubbish. And now I'm on the other side. I know what journalists are interested in. And you just got to get your timing right with that, because it very much, good PR is a matter of timing as well. You can also put this press release content on your website, of course. In fact, you can do anything with this content. That's the beauty of this. And there's a support video showing you how to find your local media contacts. By the way, when you do get coverage, just to set your expectations, you're not going to get new clients off the back of the coverage, but what you will get is immense credibility. Because if you can be featured by your local media outlets, well, their logo can quite justifiably go at the bottom of your website now saying, as seen in, and it can stay there for 10 years. And what you'll find is your clients will see you in those media outlets and they'll like that, and some of your prospects will as well. And it's another part of, it's such a great credibility thing, and being there in front of people all the time, because people perceive that journalists pick experts to interview, and actually journalists pick the easy content that lands on their desk. So I mentioned support videos. I've recorded, tons of them, and they're all there in a support library, which you get on day one, instant access, and it's the kind of subjects that we've gone into detail in this webinar, but more of the same, more in depth, split into lots of little videos, so you can access the help that you need them. And anytime I spot a trend in the kind of questions that people are asking me, I just film a new video, because it's always something that if many people have got the same question, I want to make sure that I've covered off the answer correctly. And then we've got a weekly marketing video, which I send out every Thursday. Now, this is my boost, if you like. I send it out at 10:30 a.m. UK time, so GMT, and every single Thursday, and it's my motivational boost for you. Because we don't just talk about marketing, we talk about everything. All the subjects of growing your MSP. Marketing is one of it, monthly recurring revenue, how to get more net profit. I've got book suggestions in there. We talk about staff, we talk about productivity, talk about mindset. Because, I've been a business owner for a long time as well. I understand the 4 a.m. stress. I get it. So these videos, literally 2 minutes long, every Thursday morning, just to give you a bit of a boost. And that's a bonus that you get on a Thursday morning. And then finally, we get there's daily support. In fact, the support available to you 5-6 days a week. So we have a secret Facebook group. You're probably aware of my big Facebook group, which is that MSP marketing one I was talking about at the start of the webinar. But we have a secret Facebook group. It's only for active members of the MSP Marketing Edge, and come and join us. As at time of I'm recording this, there's about 90 people in there, no one in competition with each other, which is beautiful. So I go a lot more detail into answers when people ask stuff on there. I'm also available to you on email, because some people don't like Facebook, they don't like being on it. That's fine. Email me, and you can email me as often as you like, and I will either record a video to a quick short video as a reply, or if it's a very short reply, I'll just email back to you. But I'm always happy to help you, because, and it's a cliche, but your success is my my success. If this stuff works for you and you're growing, you're getting more new clients and you're growing your monthly recurring revenue and all of that kind of stuff, then that is a good thing. So whichever website you are on, whether you're on the UK one or the US one, up here at the top on a desktop site, or if not, you go on the mobile site to the hamburger button, you'll see there's a yellow thing that says check if your area is available. Now it's slightly differently for each country. So in the UK it's £99 a month. In the US it's $129 a month, and it is cancel anytime. The whole service is cancel anytime. So what we suggest is just have a go. And I give you 3 great bonuses that you can keep whether you choose to stay on as a member or not. So the first bonus is you get a copy of a book. So at time of recording, it's the 2020 problem. I know the next book is going to be about cybersecurity because we're at the first draft stage of that. So that book is yours, and we give you the PDF. We give you the InDesign files. I give you the contact of my designer and my writer. And the idea is that you can put together a new cover or just use one of my covers, put your name on the front, and suddenly you're a published author. There's your real ethical bribe. You're a published author, and that's yours to keep whatever happens down the line. Second thing that we will send you is a copy of my Ultimate Business Growth Manual. So this was something I sold in 2016, 17, and 18. I sold hundreds and hundreds of copies of these, mostly in the UK. And because I have MP3 versions, it takes about a week to update it. And I'll be honest, at the start of 2019, I didn't fancy doing that job for the 3rd time. So this is the 2018 edition. It's still very powerful, and I would say 90% of it in date. It's just technology, isn't it, and platforms that change. It's worth $79 or about £99. In the States, I'll send you a PDF copy in the MP3s. In the UK, I'll also post you a copy as well, because it's a fairly thick page. It's got 127 pages, and we've got a couple of hundred of those sat on shelves, so we're quite happy to send those to you. And then the final bonus, which is a mug. Everyone loves a mug, and I don't know if you can quite see what it says on there, but it says running an MSP is easy. It's like riding a bike, except the bike's on fire, I'm on fire, everything's on fire. And it's funny, if ever we have the most questions about the bonuses, it's where's my mug? So we'll get that to you within a couple of weeks of you starting your membership. But remember to write your name on that mug, and don't let your staff steal it. So those are your free bonuses, and that's just for starting your trial. It really is. In the States, it costs you nothing, not a cent to get started. In the UK, it's just £1 plus VAT to get started, and that's just because of the difference of the payment systems that we've used. But essentially, I've made it easy for you to try it. If after a month you just don't want to do it, then you just tell me. You just drop me an email and say, this isn't for us. That's fine, we'll just cancel it. We release your area back onto the market, it's no problem. If you don't tell us to cancel, then it rolls forward into, as I say, in the UK, £99 plus VAT a month, and in the US, $129 a month. So you just need to check that your area is still available. Now, this is the US site that we're looking at. In the UK, it's based around the council that you pay your rates to, your business rates to. So let's say, for example, I'm in Milton Keynes in the UK. I pay business rates to Milton Keynes Council, so I'd go in and I would type Milton Keynes into this box, and it would come up and tell me if it's available or not. Now, in the US, we've done it around counties and states. So, for example, I know that Los Angeles in California, the county of Los Angeles has been taken. So if I select that one, that's what's come up. You see, someone has already got that. And we're adding sort of 2 or 3 areas per week that are being locked. So if I pick another one, let's just pick Dallas County. Dallas County, and we'll just pick we'll go for Dallas County, Alabama there. Now that happens to be available. So this works exactly the same in the US and the UK sites. It's just the only difference is the actual areas. So now if we go through and click on that, you'll see it goes into the sign up page. And this is where you put your details in. On the next page, in the UK, you go to gocardless.com. So we use direct debit in the UK, and in the US, we use Stripe. And I'm sure you've heard of both of these platforms, depending on which country you're in. So you get your bonuses instantly, and as I say, we've got your payment details. So if you don't cancel, it does roll through into a paid membership. Now listen, if you've got any questions at all, this is my email address, and it's me at the end of it. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you've got. hello@mspmarketingedge.com. I hope you've enjoyed this webinar. Thank you so much. I know I've run over a little bit on time, but I hope it's been valuable to you. Please do. If you have any thoughts at all that this could be useful for you, just go and check to see if your area is available. Just try it for a month. It's going to cost you nothing in the States. In the UK, it's going to cost you £1 plus VATs. It's literally nothing. Go and try it, see what you like. If you don't like it, you can just cancel it. And if you've got any questions, just drop me that email, hello@mspmarketingedge.com.